That was me jumping straight into this video. What is goody, my step slimes? Today, I'm going to be showing you the 5 essential functions of Edison. It's going to change the way that you use FL Studio. So let's get right into it. So for the first essential function of Edison, I'm going to show you different ways to record. So in the top left here, we have our different types of inputs. And then right here is our length of those inputs. So you can choose forever, up to an hour, and then you can also choose the amount of storage for that input. So if you want to record up to 50 megabytes worth of content, you could do that. In terms of these inputs, for the now, all that's going to do is when you hit record, it's going to start recording and it records my voice in. For the on input, it's not going to start recording until I start talking in the mic, but I can still hit the record button. And now I'm talking. So see how it didn't record off rip? It takes a second until you actually start talking to record. Other than the on input, we have the input setting. And so when I hit record, it's going to record me talking still. Then I stop talking. And you saw the way that the recording stopped there. So it'll just keep recording when you give it input, and then it'll stop when there's no input. Now for the final recording setting, we have on play. So if you hit the record button, it's not going to record in. But until I hit this play button, it's going to start recording my voice to the song. And if I go on here to the playlist, you can see the way it's looping. And it marks that by song jumps here in Edison. So if I stop recording, you could use this for individual takes like 8 bars. It's really useful if you want to be quick on the fly with an artist to choose which take you want instead of cutting it out really slow and dragging it in like that. If you use the arrow keys on your computer, you can hop between them like so. And then say I want this one, you just hit this button right there for the input, and boom, you have it in for that loop. This leads me to my second essential function of Edison, and that is trimming side noise. What is side noise? All it is the space before and after the sample that you actually want to keep. So if I hit Control A to select the whole thing, go up to the wrench tool here, select trim side noise, and boom, it got rid of the space before and after. So all I have is this, and I can just drag it right in, like so. Alright, step slimes. So for the third essential function of Edison, we're going to be talking about denoising. All that it means is if there's like a car horn in the background or someone's being loud outside your door, anything, you can get rid of that sound from your sample. And the way we do that is selecting like the average amplitude of the disturbance. So in this case, I'm just going to choose right here. And you go up to this little brush. Think of it as cleaning up. Right click on your mouse, and it's going to acquire the noise profile. And then you're going to hit Control A to select the whole sample. And then you'll left click on this brush. And from here, we have the denoising. We can preview it. And then you have the ability to adjust the threshold from which it does take that sound away, and then the amount it takes away. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to hit accept. And then we can see here how that turned to 0. You can see here how there was a bigger disturbance, so it didn't get rid of that because the threshold was lower. But for here, it's a complete flat line. All that noise, completely gone. Now for the fourth essential function of Edison, I'm going to be talking about declicking and fading. So the reason why declicking is really important is when you're recording guitar or vocals, anything in Edison, or you just drag a loop in like I did from a pack, and you want to pull out a specific part. You want to avoid that clicking and popping that's going to occur when you have, like you hear that clicking, you hear the way it doesn't hit the 0 crossing, so there's a direct transient from this waveform. So the way we get rid of that is when we're in here, going over to here, declick in, declick out. When you get that click, what it means is you're going from some type of amplitude in the waveform straight down to 0. This just prevents that, and it makes a nice smooth incline or decline depending on which way the waveform is traveling in the piece that you want to use. And now for fading in, fading out, I'm going to go over to the wrench here, select fade in or fade out, and the hotkeys are Control F and Alt F. And another helpful tip is you can see the little hotkeys next to all these functions here. Not all of them have a hotkey, but it's nice to know the different functions. So fade in, Control F, we're going to use that. So Control F, see the way it fades in nicely? So maybe you want to use that for like the intro of the song or something like that. And then I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. And then the other way we can get the fade out is Alt F. And so maybe this is the ending of your song or the breakdown of the bridge or something like that. So we can use this, and this is what that sounds like. So an alternative to fading in, fading out, and declicking in Edison is doing it on the playlist. So as long as you have FL Studio 21, this will work. You have these little drag bars left and right of your sample. And so if you wanted to fade out like that, or fade in with this one, you could do that. And if you double click, you can actually declick through the process of adding like generic bleeding, smooth, crossfade. These just add more or less of like a reduction to the waveform, but that's another way to use the declicking. Why slimes? We're on to the final essential function of Edison. Let's get it. So for the fifth essential part of Edison, I'm going to be talking about panning, volume automation, and stereo separation. And these can all be automated. So down here, by default, it's going to be just on looking at the waveform. What we can do is go here, and from here, we can look at the panning. So if I go all the way here, we're all to the left, and all to the right, and then it's going to, but you can add different points in here. So that's the way you can automate it like that. And you can just delete these just as you would a normal automation clip. And then going over here, now this is the volume automation. So down being 0 and up louder. So you can make automation clips in here. And then what we got here is stereo separation. So if I go here, completely mono. All the way down here, completely stereo. So the reason why these are super useful is because if you don't want to clutter up your playlist with like adding different automation clips and panning on the mixer, just things like that, it's just about clutter, keeping things consolidated, clean. You can do it in here, export it as so, and then use it in your project after the fact. That's the end of this video. Hope you learned a thing or two about using Edison. Maybe it'll help you speed up your workflow and maybe even change the way you use FL Studio. Till the next one, peace.